Security Council of Iran, in a statement, has announced that Iran has suspended cooperation with the UN nuclear watchdog, IAEA, after European powers move on UN sanctions. This announcement comes after the Security Council has voted on Friday to reimpose frozen UN sanctions as European powers accused Iran of non-compliance. Tehran also stated that the actions by the European powers undermines months of engagement with IAEA that was aimed at resuming monitoring and ensuring compliance with international rules. The sanctions over Iran is to take effect from September 28th unless Iran can persuade the Council to relent in the matter. Earlier this month, IAEA chief hailed the framework agreement signed in Cairo with Iran as a step in right direction, but the reimposition of sanctions and Iran's suspension of cooperation with the IAEA lowers the prospects of nuclear deal. Now we go back to our guest discussion with Rohan Gunaratna. Thank you, Rohan, for staying with us. Now, should the European powers have reimposed UN sanctions, and now we're seeing this ongoing negotiations?
Asuma, the Europeans did the right thing by reimposing the sanctions because Iran was lying to the entire world and developing a military nuclear capability. It was not a civilian nuclear capability. The Israeli intelligence service was successful in stealing the records of the Iranian nuclear archive. And based on the findings of that archive and other intelligence, it is very clear that Iran was building a functional nuclear weapon that would pose a very severe threat, not only to the Middle East, but beyond. What is important is that the European negotiators are now doing a good job. The UN is doing a good job. The International Atomic Energy Agency is doing a good job to rein in Iran. What is so important is for those sanctions to take effect and to ensure that Iran complies, because since the Ayatollahs came to power in Iran in '79, Iran has been funding terrorist and extremist groups. Hamas, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, Hezbollah, Ansarullah in Yemen, all these groups. So what is so important today is for the international community to understand what Iran is doing and to help Iran to normalize and to get rid of the Ayatollahs so that Iran will become a stable and a secure country in the world.
And Rohan, how might this decision by Iran affect its international standing, also future relations with Western powers?
Iran has very little credibility. For example, last month, the Australian government shut down the Iranian embassy in Canberra and expelled the Iranian ambassador, and the Australians also closed down their mission in Tehran because Iran was conducting terrorist attacks in Australia, and there are other countries where Iran has been doing the same. So Iran is using terrorist proxies and criminal groups to mount attacks. So it is so important for the European countries to talk to Iran during this time and advise Iran that unless they cooperate with the international community, that they will impose very severe sanctions against the Iranian regime. This is not against the Iranian people, but against the Iranian government that is in many ways destabilizing Iran and affecting international security.
Thank you very much, Rohan Gunaratna, for joining us and sharing your insight as an international affairs expert. Now we move